Here are 3 of some of the best plyometric exercises to increase your speed. I'm going to go over each one with progressions and programming options that you can actually use in your own training. Number 1, a single leg pogo or bounce. Sprinting, when you really break it down, is actually just a bunch of alternating single leg bounces or punches propelling you forward. So of the 3, I would say this one not only has the most direct relation to speed, but the most important. There are several different options and variations for this plyo. You can do them for distance, height, or speed. The drill or series that I find to be the most effective when it comes to direct speed correlation and explosiveness is by doing them over hurdles. And if you don't have hurdles, that's okay. You can just set up some cones 3 across. Starting off, set up the hurdles anywhere between 2 to 3 feet apart. And I find 5 hurdles works well. The distance is dependent on your height, age, or skill level. Either way, in the beginning of a training session or programming, you don't want the hurdles to be too far apart. Initially, you want to start off by prepping the knees, ankles, and hips for bigger and more explosive bounces. After 2 to 3 sets on each leg through the hurdles, increase the distance between each one by about another 1 to 2 feet. Hit another 2 to 3 sets on each leg and do so until you hit a distance between the hurdles that is challenging, but you can also cover the distance quickly. In a general training session, you want to go through the hurdles anywhere between 5 to 8 reps per leg. Then as you get more comfortable and you've been doing this drill for several weeks, you can start off with the hurdles at a further distance and make them longer. By increasing the distance, you're also increasing intensity and the difficulty. This style of plyometric also pairs well with contrasting sprints into the workout. If you have the distance where you're training at, you can bounce through the hurdles and immediately transfer into a nice, bouncy, quick sprint, ideally for at least 10 to 15 yards after. If you're limited on space or distance, then just stick with doing the plyos in and of themselves. Then maybe do some sprints after. Here are some key points you really want to pay attention to when doing this drill. First of all, someone should be able to stick their fingertips under the back of your shoe at all times. Your heel needs to be off the ground, ankle rigid, and foot underneath your hip. Just like when sprinting, the foot should never be flat and out in front. It should be under your hip, punching and pushing into the ground. The bounces should be quick in the sense of you trying to move through them as fast as possible. All while bouncing through, you're trying to limit your ground contact time, so the amount of time you're on the ground, and stay under control. It shouldn't be chaotic and out of control. And a final note on this plyo that I think really sells its effectiveness inside of its simplicity. If you were to take 20 random athletes, all of the same age, and have them bounce on their chosen leg as far as they can for 5 bounces with maximum effort, I can almost guarantee you that the ones that bounce further are the fastest without even seeing them sprint one time. Do these, get faster. Number 2, broad jumps. And don't think I'm going to make these generic or as basic as it seems to put a broad jump onto a plyo list. Bear with me here. You're going to like this. I'm going to show 2 concepts or 2 styles of a broad jump that you may have never seen before and also break them down. First of all, broad jumps, and one of the reasons they're on the list, is one of the best plyos for overall speed output. The reason for that is because the required horizontal force output of the movement from the hips, just like when sprinting, which simply put is this. A broad jump and the first step of a staggered sprint have the same required movement to propel you forward faster and more explosive. Side by side here, you can see me driving out into a sprint and also a jump. The required explosive hip motion is the same, just not in the sense of a sprint where you're having to attack the ground on one foot after you do the actual hip motion. What I don't necessarily like about broad jumps is the amount of impact you have to take when landing, no matter how good your technique is, which is where a hill comes in the equation, or even better yet, maybe a bungee. Hill broad jumps are fantastic. You can work on being explosive as you want without all the unnecessary loading forces on the landing. This is because the hill eats up the distance on the down portion. Alternatively, you can add in a band into broad jumps as well. This not only adds resistance, but the band slows you down, yet again reducing impact. So that being said, and with those different variations, what's an effective program and how do you set up a broad jump inside of your training? Start off with broad jumps on a hill. 2 to 3 sets of singles for 5 reps. Then 2 to 3 sets of doubles for 3 to 4 reps, and potentially throwing another 2 to 3 sets of triples for 2 to 5 reps apiece. And I know that can get confusing, so on the screen here, you got some just visuals to look at. All in all, programming-wise, you want to look at and add up the total amount of jumps per week, and then slowly increase that number and amount of sets. But in general, no matter which jumps you choose or style you're doing, you want to stick around 20 to 30 jumps per training session starting off. Over time, you can increase the total amount of jumps you're doing inside of a training session. You just have to take into a factor of your knees yelling at you if you're doing too much or increasing that number too quickly. So you want to do it gradually over weeks. Be sure to take breaks between all of your sets. 1 to 2 minutes is going to allow you to give maximal effort or the opportunity to give maximal effort each jump, which is going to allow you to jump further and be more explosive inside of training and later on. Then when it comes to doing the banded broad jumps, the same things apply. I would hold off adding in regular broad jumps until week 3 of training so you can progress up. I would also suggest testing your standing broad jump on week 1 to see your starting point and progress over time, retest every 3 to 4 weeks. Even though I just said to wait till week 3 for regular broad jumps, but as a test, just do 3 to 5 to give a fair measurement and it should be fine. If you're not testing something that you're working on, whether it's horizontal or a vertical jump, then you're just guessing and it's going to slow down your ability to progress. Here's a sample regimen to do over 6 weeks, rinse and repeat. Number 3, explosive step-ups. If you don't have a stool, you could easily just use a step. For this one, I have 3 different versions for you to try out and progress through. Number 1 is less of a plyo because it isn't quite as reactive or ground force based, but it's a good start to prep the movement each workout and work on the skills. The first one here, with your foot on the stool, push and drive up as high as you can and switch legs. Exploding on the up and controlling the down with a slight pause at the bottom and launch back up. I didn't go over any technique on arm swings in the previous 2, but this one, it's pretty important, so we're going to go over it here. In a very general sense, when it comes to jumping vertical or horizontal, it's a pattern. When you go forward or up, your arms should go up, and when you come down, they should go down. So in this version, you're going to want to scoop your arms up on each jump and then snap back down as you go down. The cue I use over the gym is scoop and throw. By aggressively and correctly snapping the arms up, you will increase how fast and how high you can jump, and then by snapping back down, it will help you reload. When you reload better for the next jump, it will slow you down more effectively and allow you to jump higher on the next one. Think of the arm swing in these drills as not only being more effectively getting you up, but reloading the jump like a spring. You're actually creating elastic energy to give you more potential for higher jumps. The second version, add in a bounce on the down foot, all while trying to be as springy as possible. The objective still being height, which will be achieved better through punching the ground hard, but also getting off the ground fast. Then number 3 in the final progression is to keep the bounce on the bottom foot, but also punch the stool on the top foot at the correct time. By adding in a precisely timed punch on the down stool, it's going to allow you to explode up even higher. This one takes a little bit of practice and timing to hit correctly, but when you do so, it'll allow you for the highest and quickest set you've done so far. Later on, you can add in weights to the movement and take out the arms, strictly working on lower body power output. You want to look at doing 1 to 3 sets of each version for 5 to 6 reps on each leg. Here's an example program to utilize for 6 weeks. At the end of the day, when looking at all 3 of these plyos inside of proper training in your own programming, the most important components to factor in is no matter how you utilize them, is create structure. Start off slow, take breaks between all sets, and give maximum effort on proper working sets. The main objectives of plyos is to be more explosive, and you can't train slow and expect to be springy. Any questions, please feel free to ask. Go check out any other videos on the channel, and thank you for watching.